Next up, we have Senate File 1714, Senator Johnson Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Please proceed with your testimony, with your bill, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have several testifiers. Maybe they could come up while I'm talking to save some time. So, Chair and members, thank you for hearing Senate File 1714, also known as the Payment Transparency Act. This is an important bill for Minnesota's construction industry. It increases transparency on public construction projects, ensures that small businesses can submit timely invoices for their work, and helps subcontractors use existing legal remedies to get paid faster. Before we turn to testimony, I just want to briefly address and process and the bill. Senate File 1714 has bipartisan support in the Senate, and I want to thank Minority Lead Senator Lang for co-authoring it with me. The bill also has bipartisan support in the House. 16 trade organizations support this legislation, and that list is included in your packets. Over the last year, we have had 3 large stakeholder meetings with 20 to 30 people representing public owners, contractors, and industry groups at every meeting. The amendment before you, there is an A5 amendment that we need to move. The amendment before you reflects significant negotiations and compromise. The bill has changed substantially since we first introduced it, and subcontractors have made meaningful concessions to make compliance workable for public owners and contractors. On a personal note, I know what a big deal delayed payments can be, especially for small construction and consulting companies. 4 years ago, I sold a construction or a consulting company that I owned for 26 years. The vast majority of the work that we did was as a subcontractor. Cash flow is not an abstract issue. It determines whether businesses can make payroll, pay suppliers, and keep projects moving. The bill does 2 things. First, it establishes a clear process for subcontractors to request payment information from public owners. And secondly, it clarifies that subcontractors may submit invoices for their work without being delayed or prohibited by administrative barriers that slow down payment. Finally, I would like the committee to know that yesterday, after I thought we had an agreement, we did have some additional input, which we did try to iron out. We'll be addressing those challenges and changes before this bill goes before our next committee. But generally speaking, we have agreement on the A5, which is before you. And so with that...
Would you like to move that?
Yes, with
amendment?
that, Senator, I'd like to move the A5 amendment.
Senator Johnson Stewart moves the A5 amendment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The amendment is adopted. Senator Johnson Stewart, or to your testifiers.
Yep, I have. I think we'll go first with Blake Nelson, who's a construction attorney, followed by Heather Hoffman, a subcontractor. All
right, please, to our first testifier, please state your name for the record. I'm sorry, but please keep it brief unless you guys want to come back later tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and committee members. This is, my name is Blake Nelson. I'm an attorney with Helmuth & Johnson in Minnesota. I'm the chair of our construction law group at our firm, and I've practiced construction law for over 30 years. I represent pretty much every type of business in the construction industry. I'm also the current president of the Minnesota Subcontractors Association. I want to thank Senator Johnson Stewart and the bipartisan authors for their work on this bill, as well as the stakeholders, and Heather Hoffman for sharing her experiences. 2 of the most common issues that my clients face were already discussed by the senator. One is being prevented from submitting invoices for their work, and the other is being told by a general contractor that they haven't been paid yet. The intent of this bill is to make sure that subcontractors, many of whom are small businesses, can actually submit their invoices and find out when they should be paid. The timing of this is critical, and the bill accomplishes this in 2 ways. The first step is ensuring they can submit invoices. They do have remedies under Minnesota law to be paid, but they're keyed in part upon when an invoice is submitted. And so what happens out in the real world is that when they are signing a contract with a general contractor, often those contracts do have clauses in them that require them to use project management software to do everything. And then that includes submitting invoices. So on those projects, the general contractors will require subs to use project software to submit the invoices, but then they set the software up to block invoices. So they're unable to submit an invoice, and then therefore the timeframes for subcontractors' remedies for non-payment haven't kicked off because they haven't been able to even submit an invoice. On lines 3.8 through 3.10 of Senate File 1714, it states very simply that a general contractor may not prohibit a subcontractor from submitting an invoice or add a contract clause where they're waiving that prohibition. It doesn't mean they must accept the invoice. It doesn't mean the GC can't still dispute the invoice or reject it. It just means they can't block them from submitting the invoices. The second step is making sure they know if the public agencies have paid. Current law requires a GC or general contractor to pay subcontractors within 10 days after the GC gets paid, or else there could be penalties and attorney's fees and other remedies. But as I said, it's difficult for the subs to find out if there's been payment. They might contact, and it frequently happens with my clients, that they contact the general contractor says, I haven't been paid. But that sometimes isn't true. So lines 1.5 to 1.23 of Senate File 1714 gives the subcontractors a streamlined way to request the information directly from the public agency or the public owner about payments that have been made. Originally, this bill required the agencies to proactively notify all the subs of every payment, but we had a lot of feedback at the public meetings that was going to involve a lot of increased staffing levels and expense. So we adopted new language that was actually proposed by the state agencies, where the subcontractors now will need to request that payment information, and then it would be provided within 7 days, along with other information about the payments, including a copy of the payment application. So in summary, these two small changes to the existing law would dramatically improve the situation for our subcontractors in Minnesota. They'd know when the clock starts for their payment remedies, and they would be able to pursue them more efficiently. And I think in the end, we've adopted a new and less burdensome framework that was actually proposed by the state agencies, and I would respectfully request that this bill be passed. Thanks.
All right, to our next testifier, please state your name for the record, and you may begin.
Chair and committee members, my name is Heather Hoffman, and I represent Commercial Drywall Incorporated, a Minnesota commercial subcontractor. Commercial was founded in 1993 by my father, who I worked alongside almost my entire career until he passed away in 2020. I am now second generation leading CDI as a targeted, certified small business, serving Minnesota for over 33 years. In our busy seasons, we employ between 65 and 85 Minnesota construction professionals. We take great pride in the work we do on public construction projects in Minnesota, and we value the companies that work alongside us and the public owners that we serve. To work on a public job requires significant administrative responsibilities and long payment terms. We secure insurance and bonds, pay prevailing wage or higher. As an example, we may provide employee background checks, detailed wage reports, workforce utilization reports, lien waivers, bond waivers, and other required documents each month to the public owner. In addition to these obligations, we often wait many months or years to be paid in full for our work. SF 1714 proposes a straightforward solution: greater transparency about payments and the right to submit a timely invoice for the work performed. These small changes allow us to plan cash flow and know when we should be getting paid. I'd like to provide an example. On a fire station project in Minnesota, not to be named, Commercial Drywall finished our work on April 14th, 2025. There are no defects or claims on our work. Our work has been accepted as complete. Despite completing our contract in April of 25, we have not yet been paid in full. I expect at a minimum it will be at least 3 more months before we will see final payment. Truthfully, I'm not sharing this example to put anyone on the spot. I am sharing this example because slow payment like this is commonplace in our industry, and something has to give for small business to succeed. The cost of capital is real. Late payments erode profits. Markup on public work, you may or may not know, is typically stipulated by contract at 10%. With today's interest rates on lines of credit at 6% or higher, it does not take long to erase margin. This bill doesn't guarantee we are paid for the invoice we submit, but at least we will be able to submit it. Being able to submit a timely invoice is a big deal and will do a lot of good for businesses like mine. Thank you very much, Senator, for carrying the bill and for the committee support.
Next up, we have Cap O'Rourke for Minnesota Small Cities. Please make your way to the table and state your name for the record. And we also have Tori Key from the League of Minnesota Cities. Whoever's ready first, you may please state your name for the record and you may begin.
Mr. Chair, members, my name is Cap O'Rourke. I'm the Executive Director of Minnesota Association of Small Cities. We advocate on behalf of the over 700 cities with populations under 5,000. I want to thank Senator Johnson Stewart for her work on this bill, and especially with the A5. The A5 goes a long ways to making this process simpler for our small cities. Our primary concern, as we talk about big payments and projects and city payments, from our lens from small cities, we have a large number of cities with populations under 1,000 who have 1 to 2 employees. And for them to be able to, I'm trying to make sure that anything that they are required to do is as simple and as seamless as possible. And so if a subcontractor calls up a city and says, hey, we need to make sure that can you tell us when you were paid? And we have to confirm that they are a subcontractor on this project, and we have to go through that process. That's a lot of work for the one clerk who also has to do the minutes, also has to collect the utility bills, also is making sure that they're meeting other state mandates and regulations and applying for state grants and whatnot. So we want to make sure that that list of who those subcontractors are is provided to the city by the general contractor. We want to make sure that our staff are not having to go and do work, and we're not releasing any publicly or private data that they're not supposed to be releasing and are inadvertently tripping up. So I think there's more work to be done on this bill, but we certainly understand the concern of late payments and delayed payments between subcontractors and general contractors, and we don't want to get in that way. We think all these people deserve to get paid. We just want to make sure our city staffs are able to complete the forms as seamless as possible.
Thank you, appreciate that. Our next testifier, please state your name for the record and then you may begin.
Thank you, Chair and Committee. My name is Tori Key, and I represent the League of Minnesota Cities and our 842 members. I think that we've had a lot of conversations here about the issues in the stakeholder group. I was a member, the League was a member of the stakeholder group over the last year. We participated in the in-person meetings as well as plenty of email chains, changing language, and working now with Senator Johnson Stewart and the House author. And it's been a very illuminating experience. The subcontractors raised this concern over timely payments not coming from prime contractors on these public projects, noting that it was difficult to obtain from the city the information that says that they had completed that payment. So we were active in this participation to try to come to a solution that would work for everyone. As you heard, the law has several provisions about contracting. The cities are bound by the Uniform Municipal Contracting Law in Chapter 417. 471.425 sets requirements for prompt payments and of bills and requires that public owners' contracts contain provisions that they be paid within 10 days, and it also provides for that 1.5% interest on late payments. Minnesota Statute 1572, which is in the bill here today, says that when entering into contracts with prime contractors, cities must follow the rules to ensure prompt payment of subcontractors, and subdivision 2C requires contractors to make all retainage payments to their contractors within 7 days of receipt. These provisions have been incorporated into the AIA contract model, which is used by many cities. When somebody needs to seek information from a public entity, they must follow the Minnesota Data Practices Act, which has an established framework for best practices to request this information, including reasonable timelines, protecting private information, as Cap mentioned, and establishing a contact person and procedure to obtain that information. Statute 15.72 in here, or as it's written, carves out a specific means for subcontractors to request this information when prime contractors are paid already. Subdivision 2 requires a city to provide, upon written request, notification of the progress payment, retainage payment, or final payment made to the contractor. Further, as it exists already, subdivision 2E requires substantial completion of, or when substantial completion of the project has occurred, that the public contracting agency, if they withhold any payments, notify that subcontractor in writing of those payments if they request it. However, as it's written, the new rule for providing this information creates a new subclass of certain people who have a new process to obtain this public information. However, does it provide any protections, as Cap mentioned, to ensure that the person who's requesting the data is in fact entitled to it as a contractor or subcontractor on the public project? This is a circumventing the Data Practices Act and these already established ways to obtain public information. And without these protections to ensure we're giving the information to those who need it and are allowed to have it under this new provision, then we will have a flood of data requests coming in or requests for data that have not been vetted. I'll wrap up here because I know we're short on time, but I look forward to continuing working with this stakeholder group. I appreciate Senator Johnson Stewart for her listening ear, and look forward to answering any questions or being of assistance.
All right, with that, members, any questions or comments to the bill? Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not really to the contents of the bill. I think the bill has improved a lot, Senator Johnson Stewart. Is there a fiscal note for the bill, or did I just overlook it?
No, there's no fiscal note for the bill. Senator Drazkowski.
Is there a fiscal impact, Mr. Chair?
I don't believe so.
Senator Johnson Stewart.
Actually, I would like to answer that. So this is relevant, I promise. So I owned my company for 25 years. Routinely, we would have delayed payment. Most contractors pay within the required amount of time. So as a sub, I would get paid very soon after my general contractor. Remember, I was in consulting, but I'll use the word contractor, was paid. Again, the vast majority of contractors pay as required. So I would really, we will continue to work on this, but I would challenge the word flood of data practices requests. My intent here is that if I still own my business and I hadn't been paid for 90, 100, 300 days, I could call the DOT, the Department of XYZ, and say, hey, has company Y been paid? And the person on the other end of the line would say, well, yes, in fact, they have. It would just give the subcontractors a tool to know when, in fact, they were supposed to be paid. And so this is a very unusual thing. Most contractors, to be sure, are good and will follow the rules. And so I really don't think that this is going to cause a flood of work for cities and counties. It's certainly not my intent. And as I said before, we'll work on it as we move forward. But I don't think there's a cost to answering a phone call and reporting if somebody has been paid or not.
Senator Drazkowski, I think to answer your question, I think a fiscal note was requested, was it? And
yeah, but I don't think there is one.
Yeah, Senator Drazkowski.
But we can,
Thank
I
you.
can verify it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Senator Johnson Stewart. And I don't know, did we have a fiscal note for Senator Port's bill earlier? I don't think Mohammed's bill would probably require one, but Port's potentially would. Did we talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay, I know last time we met, a bill came unaccompanied as well with a fiscal note. Mr. Chair, is there a hiccup in the process here? Why are we meeting too early on these bills, or what is happening? We should have the fiscal note here today, and we shouldn't have to burn this time for that.
I think there's just a backlog in requests for fiscal notes. I'm not sure. But this bill has been heard in the other body too. So, I mean, we're trying. We've asked them to expedite fiscal notes.
This is bad legislating, Mr. Chair. Senator Johnson Stewart, I would likely support your bill. My question is about our fiduciary responsibility and our responsibility to the citizens of Minnesota as we run any of these bills through. We're supposed to have fiscal notes here. Very disappointed. I hope next meeting we can have fiscal notes for all our bills, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Senator Johnson Stewart.
No, I just want to say noted. I'll follow up, but I'll just follow up. Noted.
Senator Matthews.
No, wait, I thought Senator Gustafson had, okay. Sorry.
Senator Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'll be real quick. First off, I'm in support of the bill. I have a constituent in my district that works in this industry and has talked to me very specifically on this, the importance of this, and indicated from their perspective they've already given up a lot to try to get to this. And I also want to mention, because of some of the connections I have with some of the stakeholders, I won't call out by name, but I got quite a bit more detail than what the author described of some late feedback that came in, and I wasn't there, don't know for sure, but if that's accurate as it was presented to me, seems like less than good faith involvement in working through this. And I just want to urge the stakeholders to work through this, that you've been in this process a long time. We've got to be above board as we're working through this. We've got to recognize the sides that have already given up a lot, even with their original objective to try to get the bill to this point, and urge a better process moving forward. So with that, I'm in favor of the bill today, and thank everyone for their work on it.
Thank you, Senator Matthews. Any other members? Questions or comments? Senator Johnson Stewart, last word.
I just want to thank Senator Lang. He came to me early and asked to sign on. I do think this is a bill that will help many subs across the entire state, and we'll continue to work on it as we move forward. I'd ask it be referred to labor.
All right, Senator Johnson Stewart moves that Senate File 1714 as amended to be recommended to pass and referred to the Labor Committee. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The motion passes. Senate File 1714 as amended to be is recommended to pass and referred to the Labor Committee.